You're fired for fraud. That's how my Tuesday morning started. Me sitting in my home office, steel-toed boots still on from the night shift, getting terminated live on Zoom in front of 67 employees while someone's dog barked in the background. Jackson Wells, freshly minted director of operations and riding high on nepotism, smiled like he'd just solved world hunger. "We've discovered unauthorized travel expenses totaling $2,400, he announced like he'd caught me selling company secrets to China. He leaned into his webcam, all smugness and cheap cologne. Effective immediately, Marcus Thompson is terminated for expense fraud. I'm Marcus, by the way, 47 years old, been in this game for 25 years, started right after my Navy discharge, spent 8 years maintaining pressure systems on nuclear submarines, so civilian pipeline safety felt like a natural fit. I didn't cry, didn't curse, didn't even raise my voice. In the Navy, they teach you that when you're right, you stay calm. When you're really right, you stay really calm. And when you're holding documentation that's going to end someone's career, you shut your mouth and let the system do the talking. I just clicked unmute, looked straight into my camera and said, "You'll want to verify those receipts before 9 a.m. tomorrow." Then I logged off. Now listen, before we dive into the beautiful disaster that became Jackson's career, let me paint you the picture of how we got here. I worked as a senior quality inspector for Rockpoint Manufacturing Corp. We make pressure vessels and pipeline equipment for the oil and gas industry. When I say federal oversight on our stuff is tight, I mean submarine tight. One mistake, people die, period. I wasn't some pencil pusher in a corner office writing reports nobody reads. I was the guy with the certified welding inspector credentials, walking through facilities in Oklahoma and Texas, making sure our equipment wouldn't blow up and kill families. The same attention to detail that kept reactor systems running underwater for months at a time. That's what I brought to every inspection. Every month I'd fly out to 1 or 2 sites, places where the local diner still serves coffee in actual mugs and the airport runway doubles as the town's main street. My job was straightforward but critical. Perform DOT-mandated pipeline safety inspections, file reports with the federal database, and make sure we didn't get hit with fines so big they'd shut us down permanently. Each inspection required documentation signed by a federal liaison, each expense logged to the penny. Hotel receipts, meal vouchers, transportation costs, even the $3.50 coffee at the airport. Everything tracked, time-stamped, and cross-referenced with federal forms. You could audit my expense reports with a magnifying glass and not find a discrepancy. 25 years of military precision doesn't just disappear when you put on civilian clothes, but Jackson didn't see that. Hell, Jackson didn't see much of anything beyond the bottom line and his uncle's approval. He saw a $20,400 reimbursement that landed the same week he got promoted to Director of Operations, a title created by his uncle, our CEO, who thought safety inspections were just expensive paperwork that cut into profit margins. Jackson had walked into that promotion with exactly 0 field experience and an MBA from some online university that advertised during late-night TV shows. His big mission after the recent merger with a smaller competitor: slash operating costs by 15% across all departments. He started hunting for waste everywhere, like a kid with a new metal detector looking for buried treasure. First, it was the maintenance crew ordering too many replacement parts. Never mind that backup components prevent million-dollar equipment failures. Jackson saw line items that looked big and started swinging his cost-cutting axe. Then it was the IT guys who dared expense lunch during a 16-hour system crash recovery, because apparently keeping the network running doesn't qualify as working through meals. Then he found me. Or rather, he found my expense report from that particular week when I'd just returned from a 4-day inspection at our Tulsa facility. Not Vegas, not Hawaii, not some resort conference, Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the biggest entertainment is watching tumbleweeds race down empty streets. I'd been called in for an emergency certification of a new pressure vessel installation that had failed 2 previous inspections by outside contractors. This was our last shot before the client pulled their contract and went with a competitor. 4 days of crawling through equipment spaces, checking welds with ultrasonics, testing pressure ratings, and documenting every bolt and gasket according to federal specifications. The work was tedious but critical. One overlooked flaw in a pressure vessel can mean catastrophic failure, the kind that makes headlines in congressional hearings. I found 17 separate issues that the previous inspectors had missed, including a mislabeled valve assembly that could have caused exactly the kind of explosion that ends careers and lives. But Jackson didn't know any of that. He just saw numbers on a spreadsheet. $2,467.37 in travel expenses for what looked like a routine business trip to him. 4 days of hotel bills, rental car, meals, and airfare. To someone who'd never done field inspection work, it probably looked excessive. To someone who understood federal compliance requirements, it was standard operating procedure. 3 days after I submitted that expense report, Jackson called his little corporate execution. No warning, no private conversation. No, "Hey Marcus, can you explain these charges?" Just a company-wide Zoom ambush designed to make an example out of someone. What Jackson didn't realize, what he couldn't possibly understand with his theoretical business education, was that this wasn't just an expense report he was questioning. It was federal documentation. Every dollar I'd spent was tied to a DOT-mandated safety inspection that kept our company legally authorized to manufacture pipeline equipment. But I didn't explain that. Not yet. Sometimes the best response to ignorance is silence, especially when you know the system is about to do your talking for you. I logged off that Zoom call, poured myself coffee, and started making the kind of calls that would change everything. The first call I made was to Patricia Walsh, our head of legal. Not to complain, not to argue my case, but to ask a simple question. "Patricia, when someone terminates a DOT-certified inspector during an active compliance window, what's the federal protocol?" There was a long pause. Then, "Marcus, please tell me this is a hypothetical question." I wish it was. Jackson just fired me on the company Zoom for submitting fraudulent expenses, the expenses from my Tulsa inspection. Another pause, longer this time. I could practically hear her legal training kicking into high gear. The Tulsa inspection that's due for federal filing this week? That's the one. Oh, hell. Patricia had worked in oil and gas compliance for 15 years. She knew exactly what this meant. "Marcus, we need those reports filed, or we lose certification for the entire Southwest region." "I know. That's why I thought you should know what just happened." I hung up and made my second call. Petrotech Solutions had been trying to recruit me for 8 months. Their VP of Operations, Sarah Chen, picked up on the first ring. "Marcus, please tell me you're finally ready to talk seriously about joining our team." "I might be. Are you still looking for a senior compliance director? For you? We'd create the position if we had to. What's changed?" "Let's just say my current employer and I have had a difference of opinion about the value of federal safety compliance." Sarah didn't need the details spelled out. In our industry, when experienced inspectors suddenly become available, smart companies move fast. "Can you be here tomorrow morning?" "I'll have a contract ready." My third call was to Helen Cross at the Department of Transportation. Helen and I had worked together for 3 years on regional compliance issues. She was the federal liaison who signed off on my inspection reports. "Marcus, good timing. I was just reviewing the pending submissions list. Your Tulsa report is due tomorrow." "That's what I'm calling about, Helen. There might be a delay." "Oh? Equipment issues? Personnel issues?" "I'm no longer with Rockpoint as of this morning." The silence stretched so long I thought the call had dropped. "Marcus, you're the only registered inspector for their Southwest region. Are you telling me they terminated their federal compliance officer during an active inspection cycle?" "That appears to be what happened. Who's going to submit the Tulsa certification?" "Good question. You might want to ask them." After I hung up, I sat back and thought about what came next. See, here's what Jackson didn't understand about federal compliance. It's not just paperwork, it's a tightly integrated system where every piece depends on every other piece. Remove the wrong component, and the whole structure collapses. That Tulsa inspection wasn't just a routine checkup. It was one of 4 quarterly certifications required for Rockpoint to maintain their DOT authorization. Without it, every piece of equipment we'd shipped in the last quarter became questionable. Every future shipment would be held up pending compliance review. More importantly, 3 of our biggest clients had contract clauses specifically requiring continuous DOT certification. Lose the cert, lose the contracts. It was that simple and that devastating. I'd tried to warn them about this exact scenario 6 months earlier. When legal decided to consolidate federal access under single inspectors for each region, my suggestion actually, I'd sent a detailed memo outlining the risks. Consolidating inspection authority creates efficiency, I'd written, but also creates single points of failure. If personnel changes occur during active compliance windows, federal flags could freeze operations immediately. I'd even copied Jackson on that memo. Apparently, he'd filed it under interesting theoretical problems that would never actually happen. Well, theory was about to become very expensive reality. By Wednesday morning, the dominoes were already wobbling. I was sitting in Petrotech's conference room, reviewing their compliance needs with Sarah and her team, when my old office started burning down. It began with an automated email from the DOT database at 8:47 a.m. Urgent. Compliance record incomplete. Federal flag activated. The message went to Rockpoint's legal department, operations, and federal liaison contacts. The body text was clinical and devastating. The following required pipeline safety inspection has not been submitted to the DOT database. Facility TUL6, Tulsa Operations. Inspector of Record, Marcus Thompson. As of 8:47 a.m. CST, your compliance certification for this facility is invalid. All affiliated operations must cease until rectified. By 9 a.m., the panic was spreading through Rockpoint like smoke in a confined space. The red flags in the DOT system triggered automatic safety holds on equipment testing. Every pressure test scheduled for that morning got slapped with a compliance freeze. Doug Henley from operations, bless his well-meaning heart, got tagged to handle the compliance stuff temporarily. Doug was a good guy, 20 years with the company, knew equipment inside and out, but he'd never dealt with federal certification, and that's where the system showed no mercy. Doug logged into the DOT portal using his standard company credentials, tried to upload my Tulsa report using notes from the shared files, and got a message that might as well have been written in ancient Greek. Access denied. Inspector credentials not recognized by Federal Registry. Contact your regional DOT liaison to request authorized personnel certification. Doug stared at that screen like it had just told him his dog died. He tried different login approaches called IT support, even tried accessing the system from different computers. Same result every time. The federal system didn't care that Doug was a good employee or that Rockpoint needed those reports filed. It only recognized one name for Southwest Region certification, Marcus Thompson. And Marcus Thompson no longer worked there. By 10 a.m., Doug was in Patricia Walsh's office, sweat staining his company polo, holding a printout of error messages like evidence of some cosmic conspiracy. "I can't get into the system," he said, voice climbing toward panic. "It keeps saying I don't exist." Patricia looked up from her computer with the expression of someone who just realized the building was on fire and all the exits were blocked. "Doug, the federal certification system only recognizes registered inspectors. Marcus was our only registered inspector for this region, so get him back. He's been terminated, for cause, on video, in front of the entire company." The room went quiet except for the hum of air conditioning and Doug's increasingly rapid breathing. "What does that mean for us?" Doug asked. Patricia's answer came out flat as a construction level. "It means we're screwed." While Patricia was explaining to Doug exactly how deep they were buried, I was signing a contract that would make everything worse for them. Petrotech didn't just offer me a job. They offered me immediate federal certification transfer, something that normally takes weeks of paperwork and DOT review. "We've been preparing for this possibility," Sarah Miller explained as I reviewed the contract terms. "When we heard rumors about cost-cutting at Rockpoint, we started the preliminary paperwork to add you to our federal registry. All we needed was your signature. Smart move. In our industry, certified inspectors don't grow on trees. There are maybe 12 of us covering the entire Southwest region, and we all know each other. When one becomes available, especially under dramatic circumstances, the competition moves fast. The salary increase was 30% over my Rockpoint pay, plus bonuses tied to successful compliance outcomes. More importantly, Petrotech understood what I brought to the table. They weren't just hiring an inspector. They were hiring 25 years of experience and a spotless federal record. By 11 a.m. Wednesday, I was officially Petrotech's new senior compliance director, and my federal certification had been transferred to their company profile. Helen Cross from the DOT processed the paperwork personally, noting in her system comments, "Emergency transfer approved due to involuntary separation from previous employer during active compliance cycle." That last part was bureaucratic speak for his old company screwed up big time. Meanwhile, back at Rockpoint, the situation was escalating from bad to catastrophic. The automated compliance flags had triggered secondary reviews across their entire operation. 3 other facilities I'd inspected that quarter were suddenly showing incomplete documentation. Not because the work hadn't been done, but because Jackson's termination had interrupted the filing process. Federal compliance works like a house of cards. Every inspection supports multiple certifications, and every certification enables multiple operations. Pull out the wrong card, and structures you didn't even know were connected start collapsing. Jackson, to his credit, was trying to fix what he'd broken. But trying and succeeding are different things, especially when you're dealing with federal regulations written by people who assume everyone involved actually knows what they're doing. His first attempt was to call me directly. The phone rang while I was reviewing Petrotech's inspection schedule, and I let it go to voicemail. Jackson's message was a masterpiece of corporate desperation. "Marcus, this is Jackson Wells. I think there might have been some misunderstanding about your termination yesterday. Could you give me a call? We need to discuss some compliance issues that have come up." Misunderstanding. Like accidentally firing your only federal inspector was just a communication problem. I didn't call back. Instead, I forwarded the voicemail to Sarah Miller with a note, in case you wondered why I was suddenly available. Jackson's second attempt was to go through Patricia Walsh. She called me around noon, her voice carrying the weight of someone who'd spent the morning calculating exactly how screwed her company was. "Marcus, I'm calling to see if there's any way we can resolve this situation." Jackson realizes he may have acted precipitously. That was lawyer speak for catastrophically stupid. "What exactly are you asking, Patricia? Is there any way you'd consider coming back, even temporarily, just to file the pending reports?" I let the silence stretch for a good 10 seconds. "Patricia, yesterday I was publicly accused of fraud and terminated in front of 67 employees. Today you want me to come back and fix the problems that termination created. I know how this looks, but the board is concerned about our compliance status. The board should be concerned. You're about to lose your DOT certification for the entire Southwest region. That affects, about 40% of your business?" Another pause. "Marcus, what would it take?" That's when I knew they were truly desperate. When lawyers start asking what would it take, they're not negotiating anymore, they're surrendering. It would take a time machine, Patricia. You can't unring this bell. I've accepted a position elsewhere, my federal credentials have been transferred, and frankly I have no interest in working for a company that treats experienced professionals like disposable assets. I hung up before she could respond. 2 minutes later, my new phone rang. Petrotech's receptionist put through a call from someone identifying himself as Rockpoint's CEO, Jackson's uncle himself. The conversation was brief and enlightening. The CEO offered me a 50% salary increase to return immediately, full public apology, and Jackson's resignation if necessary. When I declined, he asked what Petrotech was paying me. When I told him, he offered to match it plus 20%. I declined again, politely but firmly. It wasn't about money anymore. It was about respect and professional dignity. You can't publicly humiliate someone and then throw cash at them to fix your problems. Some things can't be bought, and my reputation was one of them. By Wednesday afternoon, Rockpoint's crisis had attracted attention beyond their company walls. Word travels fast in the oil and gas industry, especially when it involves spectacular management failures. 3 of their major clients had called asking pointed questions about compliance status. Their insurance carrier was asking for updated DOT certifications. And somewhere in Washington, federal bureaucrats were generating the kind of paperwork that gives executives nightmares. The real kicker came at 3 p.m., when Petrotech received a call from Apex Energy, Rockpoint's biggest client. They wanted to know if Petrotech could handle an emergency equipment certification for a project that had suddenly become available. The previous vendor, Apex's procurement manager, explained to Sarah Miller, appears to be having some compliance difficulties. That $30 million contract, the one Rockpoint had been counting on to make their quarterly numbers, was about to walk out the door, and it was walking straight to me. Sarah put the call on speaker so I could hear directly. "We'd need someone with Southwest Region certification," the procurement manager continued. "Timeline is tight. We need preliminary inspection completed by Friday." "We have exactly the right person," Sarah said, looking at me across the conference table. "Marcus Thompson just joined our team as Senior Compliance Director. He's been handling Southwest Region certifications for the past 3 years. Perfect. Can he start immediately?" I nodded to Sarah. She smiled and told Apex, "He can start tomorrow morning." Just like that, Rockpoint's biggest contract was gone, and I was the one taking it away from them. Jackson's career was about to get much, much worse. By Thursday morning, I was standing in an Apex Energy facility in Houston, clipboard in hand, doing exactly what I'd been doing for 25 years. Except now I was doing it for Petrotech, and every signature I put on federal paperwork was another nail in Rockpoint's coffin. The Apex project was straightforward: emergency certification of pressure vessels for a Gulf Coast pipeline expansion, the kind of work Rockpoint had been counting on to make their quarterly numbers. The irony wasn't lost on me that I was now personally responsible for ensuring that contract would never go back to my former employer. Helen Cross from the DOT met me at the facility for the preliminary inspection. Federal liaisons don't usually show up for routine certifications, but this situation was anything but routine. "Marcus," she said as we walked through the equipment bay, "I've been getting some interesting calls from Rockpoint management. They seem to think there's been some kind of mistake with your certification transfer." I paused in my documentation of a valve assembly. "What kind of mistake?" "They're claiming you were terminated for cause and shouldn't be eligible for immediate certification transfer to a new employer." That got my attention. "Helen, you've seen my federal record. 25 years, 0 violations, 0 safety incidents. What cause could possibly justify suspending federal certification?" She pulled out a tablet and showed me an email chain. "According to their legal department, you were terminated for submitting fraudulent expense reports." I had to laugh. "The same expense reports that documented the federally mandated inspection they're now desperate to have me complete?" Helen nodded slowly. "I've been doing federal compliance for 12 years, Marcus. I've seen companies try some creative interpretations of regulations, but this is a new level of stupid." She showed me another email, this one from Rockpoint's CEO directly to the regional DOT office. It was a masterpiece of corporate desperation, requesting emergency authorization for Doug Henley to submit compliance reports as a temporary measure. "What did you tell them?" I asked. "Same thing I tell everyone who asks for emergency authorization without proper credentials. No exceptions, no shortcuts, no temporary measures. Federal safety certification doesn't work that way." While Helen and I worked through the inspection checklist, Rockpoint was discovering just how completely they'd boxed themselves in. Jackson's uncle, the CEO, had called an emergency board meeting for Thursday afternoon. The agenda was simple: figure out how to prevent complete regulatory collapse. Patricia Walsh presented the situation in terms that left no room for misinterpretation. "We are currently non-compliant with federal safety regulations for 42% of our operations. Our Southwest region certification has been suspended pending completion of overdue inspections. We have no authorized personnel to complete those inspections. And our former authorized inspector is now working for a competitor." Board member questions came fast and pointed. How did we get into this situation? A personnel decision was made without considering regulatory implications. Who made that decision? Jackson Wells, Director of Operations. Where is Jackson now? Long pause. "Mr. Wells is currently exploring other career opportunities." That was corporate speak for Jackson's been locked out of his email and his parking pass has been deactivated. The real blow came Friday morning when Apex Energy's procurement team sent Rockpoint a formal notification that their contract bid was being rejected due to insufficient regulatory compliance documentation. The same contract went to Petrotech that afternoon, with a specific requirement that Marcus Thompson serve as the primary compliance officer. Jackson's career wasn't just over. It was being publicly dissected as a case study in how not to manage federal compliance. The final humiliation came the following week. The Society of Pipeline Safety Engineers, the industry's professional organization, published a quarterly newsletter that included a section on compliance management best practices. The lead article, written by Helen Cross, was titled, "The Critical Importance of Maintaining Certified Personnel During Active Inspection Cycles." The article didn't mention Rockpoint by name, but everyone in the industry knew exactly which company had provided the cautionary tale. Helen's conclusion was devastating in its professional understatement. Recent events have demonstrated that treating federal compliance as a cost center rather than a safety imperative can result in rapid and catastrophic loss of operating authority. 3 months later, I was sitting in Petrotech's conference room, reviewing our expanded compliance program with Sarah Miller and the executive team. We'd picked up 4 major contracts since I'd joined, including 2 that had previously gone to Rockpoint. "Marcus," Sarah said, "I have an interesting call to share with you. Rockpoint's new management reached out yesterday. That got my attention." "New management?" The board cleaned house completely. New CEO, new operations director, new compliance department. They wanted to know if Petrotech would be interested in a consulting contract to help them rebuild their federal certification program. I had to appreciate the irony. What did you tell them? I told them our senior compliance director's schedule was completely booked for the next 2 years. 6 months after Jackson's spectacular implosion, I ran into Doug Henley at an industry conference in Dallas. He'd landed on his feet at a smaller outfit doing equipment maintenance, staying far away from anything involving federal paperwork. "Marcus," he said, looking genuinely relieved to see me, "I owe you an apology. I had no idea what Jackson was doing when he fired you. Nobody understood how the compliance system actually worked." "No apology needed, Doug. You weren't the problem." Whatever happened to Jackson? I'd heard through industry contacts that Jackson had tried insurance sales for a while, then moved to some kind of consulting work that had nothing to do with oil and gas. His uncle had quietly retired early, citing health concerns that were probably more career-related than medical. Last I heard, he was selling software solutions to small businesses, probably better suited to his skill set. Doug nodded. "You know, after everything that happened, the new management made everyone go through compliance training. 20 hours of federal regulations, documentation requirements, the whole program. They use your situation as the primary case study for what happens when you don't respect the system." That evening, I called my old Navy buddy Steve, who'd followed my career transition with the kind of interest that comes from shared experience with unforgiving systems. "So let me get this straight," Steve said after I'd filled him in on the conference conversation. "The company that fired you for fraud is now using your story to teach people about proper compliance procedures? That about sums it up. And you're making 30% more money doing the same job for a company that actually values expertise?" "Pretty much." Steve was quiet for a moment. "You know what the best part is? You never had to get angry, never had to fight, never had to prove anything. You just let the system work the way it was designed to work." He was right. The federal compliance system didn't care about office politics or family connections or MBA degrees from diploma mills. It cared about one thing: properly documented safety procedures performed by certified professionals. When Jackson fired me, he wasn't just firing an employee. He was declaring war on a system that doesn't negotiate, doesn't make exceptions, and doesn't care about your quarterly numbers. That system fought back the only way it knew how, by working exactly as designed. And in the end, that was more than enough. Sometimes the best revenge is just being really, really good at your job. Especially when the people trying to replace you have no idea what your job actually involves. 25 years of federal compliance experience doesn't just walk out the door when you fire someone. It walks down the street to your competitor, taking your contracts and your reputation with it. Jackson learned that lesson the hard way. I just happened to be there to watch it happen.